started. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rickcast. In a sea of vapid and pompous podcasts, you are watching another one. So thank you for joining me here on the 29th day of January. Can you believe that? In the year of our Lord 2025, the month of January is just flying by, isn't it? I mean, I guess not. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is for you. Maybe it isn't for you. I don't know. But it is almost over. So there you got that going for you. But in the end, we are here. We had another day worth of news to speak about. No hot takes or anything like that today because we are going to be jumping straight into the show as far as getting the stuff RFK, his confirmation hearing. It was wild. We'll try to distill it down as best we can into this show. And then we'll talk about Trump had a press conf, an event. They signed the Lincoln Riley Act, but he had some notes, and Trump did the Trump thing where he kind of just talked for a little bit on top of it. Good evening, Lou. How do you do? Good to see you again. And so he talked about Guantanamo. We talked about the federal employees having to come back, all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that as well. I try to make this show four quadrants. Good evening, G Money. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for always being a loyal watcher of the channel. Couldn't do without you. I try to make this show a 4-quadrant show. What does that mean? I do not want to talk about politics for an hour. There are some days where you have to, and I get it, and that's what you guys want, and that's kind of what you need. But this is not a politics show. This is more of a variety show. This is an evening show to kind of give you an idea of what's going on across the spectrum. And I'm not talking about autism. I'm talking about the actual spectrum. Instead of just, there's plenty of politics shows, plenty of them out there, and you guys can watch enough of them. You don't need to deal with all that. But I'll give you some highlights, some definite stuff. The Trump event and RFK. And then we're going to switch to a sports story because the decline of the NBA is fascinating. Because, coming into the year 2000 and the end of the Jordan era, it was absolutely riding high at the peak of its popularity. Good evening, sir, Mr. Elder, Mr. Crutchy Elder. Good evening. And then it was handed off to LeBron, and it's just been downhill ever since. So we'll talk about that. In fact, the NBA is so bad right now because the local market, the national market, has collapsed. So they have to cater to the international market. So they want to shorten the game. Used to be 48 minutes. Like my Ruger GP100, my facsimile of a GP100. I do like the Rugers. They make great revolvers. Interestingly enough, I am actually a sixth cousin of Daniel Wesson. That's right. My grandmother did like a 23andMe thing. She showed me the results, and I am a sixth cousin of Daniel Wesson and a fifth cousin of Oliver Winchester of the Winchester Company. So I guess I was born to be a gun guy. But yeah, so the NBA wants to shorten its games to appeal to more to an international audience, which is just absolutely nuts. And then finally, because I try to make the last story of the day kind of lighthearted on the way out, because nobody wants to have a bad taste in this story, in particular, in their mouth going out. They want to be depressed on the way out. And this is a story that appeals to my heart as a man that will never... I'll always, thinking about the obese rapper story yesterday. I work out, I try to eat well. Being 44 years old, I'm always going to have a belly. And so it's kind of like, funny you should say that. I'm going to come back to this in a second. I'm always going to have a belly. So stories like this prevail to my heart. America's favorite pizza by state from studyfinds.org. Which pizza pie will prevail? You're just gonna have to wait till the end of the show. My wife, before we actually went on our first date, she actually took a vacation with her family to California and actually visited the Winchester house before she met me. So I guess that was a prelude. No, I think a fifth cousin doesn't have claim to the Winchester mystery house or anything from Winchester. Like as a fifth cousin, a sixth cousin to Daniel Wesson, I can't get like a Smith and Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 for free or anything like that. It's just kind of a neat little thing. And then another thing that was pretty interesting is I have within my family tree, I have a relative that signed the Declaration of Independence from Rhode Island and somebody who signed the Constitution from New Hampshire. So it's nuts. So yeah, it's neat. It's neat to know that kind of stuff. You guys, yeah, that's enough about me. I hope you guys are having a great night. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, do all the fun things that help the show continue to grow. Once again, thank you all so much for hanging out with me on Twitter, on X, on Rumble, and on the Tube. So let's get this promo stuff out of the way because you guys love to hear me promote my own stuff. It's only one more week and then I can't promote it anymore. So yeah, one more week before the 15th annual Catholic Men's Conference of the Carolinas, where you can get your tickets at CatholicMenOfTheCarolinas.org. CatholicMenOfTheCarolinas.org. That's right. The Bishop of Charleston, Jonathan Franklin, Frank Min, not Franklin, Frank Min, Anthony and Rob of Avoiding Babylon, John and Edwards, Catholic for Rednecks, myself and Enoch will all be there. It will be a great time. We actually have almost 120 people signed up right now for the event. And ticket, it's not a big hall. I'll say that it's not a big place, so tickets and space is running out. So if you're on the fence about it and you're in the Mid-Atlantic area, why don't you it's one day, come on down, see me, shake my hand, you'll feel better about it. CatholicMen'sOfTheCarolinas.com, CatholicMenOfTheCarolinas.com. Get your ticket today, ladies and gentlemen. And secondly, speaking of books, I will have some of these books at the Catholic Men's Conference. The Armed Catholic, the Catholic Case for Guns and Self-Defense, which you can get at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. So that's enough promoting my own stuff. Let's get to our news today. What's it? So your family's supposed to be related to Christopher Columbus somehow. Nice. Very cool. It's always neat when you see that stuff. You're like, oh, yeah, I'm related to that guy. That's pretty cool. So you might have been more upset than everybody else when they tried to get rid of Columbus Day. It's kind of funny. There was this lady, and I don't have time to pull the tweet up from my Stratcat account, not the Rickcast account. I put this old lady on blast because she went, I can't believe they're getting rid of, pictures of General Miley and they're trying to erase history. You know who does that, right? Right. And the insinuation being Germany in the 1930s and 40s. And it's like, no. You people on the left, you guys can't talk about erasing history. You people went on an 18-month binge during the Summer of Love where you got rid of statues, paintings, everything. I think the worst one being everybody has that one of Washington. It was somewhere in Portland, right up in the North Pacific Northwest, where they ripped Washington statue down. It might have been there, but I think it was that. For me, the epitome or the climax of this destruction of the past was when they got rid of Robert E. Lee's statue, right? That big, massive statue. And they melted it down, and there's the famous picture of his face glowing red and doing all that kind of stuff. You don't get to whine about us erasing history. You guys did it. You guys set the bar. Everything that's happening now, the left set up. The left put in play. The left tried to push the Overton window as hard as it could. It's pushing back. It's not going to stay this way forever because it's a pendulum. But right now, you're going to have to take the L's. And more of them came today from Donald Trump, who had a ceremony for the signing of the Lake and Riley Act, but he also did some stuff as well. From Ground News, Trump directing the opening of Guantanamo Bay Detention Center to hold migrants in the U.S. illegally. Now, there's rumblings from Tom Hooman and others that the deportations are not going fast enough, and that the quotas have been upped, and they want it to be thousands per day, not hundreds, thousands per day. And so I'm with it. I'm down with that. I want them all. If they're here illegally, I don't care if it's abuela or little children, you gotta go. You can't be here illegally. It sets a bad precedent. And you have been emboldened by bad people on the left and bad organizations. That includes Catholic Charities that enabled the illegal smuggling of people, of human chattel into this union of states. And yeah, now you got to go back. That's the only way to set these things right. It has to be done this way. So now Trump wants to open Guantanamo Bay to hold criminal alien trespassers. And if you don't believe me, you can hear from himself.
An executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo. This will double our capacity immediately, right? And that's a tough place to get out of. Today's signings bring us one step closer to eradicating the scourge of migrant crime in our communities once and for all. And it was just it's just an unforced error that we even have to be doing this. Now we need Congress to provide full funding for the complete and total restoration of our sovereign borders, as well as financial support to remove record numbers of illegal aliens.
So Mark says it's got to be 10,000 a week. One of the numbers that I saw floated around was a number of 1,800 per day was the specific number used in migrants. Now, if they deported 1,800 people per day, that's 12,600 per week times 4. You're looking at 50,000 a month times 12. You're looking at 600,000 migrants a year times 4. You're looking at about 2 million migrants gone. That's not a great number considering there's way more than that in this union. But I also have to tell people when they get a little frustrated with the lack of deportations or the lack of deportations that seem to be not happening, there's also, for every 1,000 that are put on a plane and sent out, you got to think 2,500 are self-deporting. I would venture to guess, because they just don't want to deal with it. You know, you see the viral videos, that's anecdotal, I know, of Walmarts being empty and Home Depots being empty and entire job sites and up in Fort Worth being empty and all these other places being empty because they're either in hiding or they're just leaving. So I was trying to tell people when they said, oh, well, you can't deport 10 million people or blah, 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 blah. You have to show that it's happening. You have to make a show of it. 30,000 in Guantanamo, put them on a plane, sending them back. Most people are going to be like, it's not even worth it anymore. And they're just going to leave. Most of them would just leave. And that's the way it should go. Yes, I think absolutely they should fire and jail any employer that does it. And of course, these employers are jumping on TikTok and these other places and they're going, we're the Americans that are going to do the jobs because look at my Vine, look at my company that picks grapes or whatever, and nobody's here. Well, your business plan obviously sucks because you can't pay people enough. And they're going to be like, well, I can't pay them. No. If it's unsustainable, you're not going to be able to stay in business. It's that simple. It's that simple. Pay your employees better or don't exist. Because guess what? Just like we talked about yesterday with the Colombian coffee, if you go out of business, somebody else will buy it and somebody else will make it work. You are not the be all end all. And I think some people have a problem with that. So that's the first one. Trump wants to get this detention center off the ground at Guantanamo Bay. So even if they're processing or whatever the case may be, they're out. They're out of the country for the worst criminal alien trespassers. And so that was the first thing that he talked about in this press conference, or in this ceremony, I guess we'll call it. And then he got to the second point before he signed the Laken Riley Act, which was the fact that federal employees need to come back to work. I don't know if you heard this, but federal employees under Biden for the last 4 years have been able to work from home. Meaning that, they kind of were making, even if you're making $85,000 a year working from home, you're making far too much money because you're supposed to work 40 hours a week. And if you're working from home, you're probably working 20. Probably working 20 hours a week at max. And then you have your little remote thing that pretends that you're still working and all these other kinds of things. Now, don't get me wrong. I think work from home jobs are great. I think they're better for a work-life balance. But for the amount of money that government employees are getting paid for the amount of work that they do. Now, there are some people who work from home and they're actually very productive because, hey, they get stuff done. No worries with that. Government employees, when you work from home, 100% the laziest bunch of people you'll ever meet. Whatever what that you'll ever. So the EPA guys are freaking out. Yeah, I bet you they are, because it used to be this in Rhode Island, and being from Rhode Island, I can tell you this. Your goal as a Rhode Islander when you were getting out of college, you desperately wanted to get a government job or a town job, something in government. You didn't want to start your own business because they were going to tax you to death. You wanted to get into some kind of government job, teacher, some kind of administrative job, the DMV, the post office, whatever the case may be, because then you got a pension. And then you were set for life. You were set for life if you were some kind of government employee up in Rhode Island. You were good to go. So that's the same attitude that these people. And so that's, yeah. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of tricks. There's all kinds of tricks that I've seen from people who work from home that do all kinds of stuff to make it look like they're being productive. And it's also reflected the fact that most jobs, not just government jobs, most office cubicle jobs, you could probably do 5 hours a day out of the 8 hours of work that you do per day. You could probably get it done in 5. Just so that they stretch it out to 8 to justify paying you whatever measly salary they gave you. Same thing I used to talk about with teaching. Teachers worked from 7 to 3 or 8 to 4, whatever the case may be, but they could get most of the quote unquote teaching done by noon. And then the rest of it's like study halls or PE or health or whatever stupid extracurriculars or stuff like that. Then of course you had your sports and everything. But yeah, these employees, they need to come back.
States who are in fact working hard from job sites and not from
hold on, I had a area from the top, Donnie.
Most of the time they're not working, they're not very productive, and it's unfair to the millions of people in the United States who are in fact working hard from job sites and not from their home. As federal employees, they must meet a high standard. They're representing our government, they're representing our country. If they don't agree by February 6th to show up back to work in their office, they will be terminated, and we will therefore be downscaling our government, which is something that the last 10 presidents have tried very hard to do but failed.
So I've been watching a couple of podcasts, and I know this idea has been floating around on some place, on Timcast in particular. Somebody floated this out like 2 weeks ago when they were talking. Apparently, when you move a company from one place to another, you lose about 20% of the workforce, because 20% is like, I'm just not moving. I'm just not going to move. So the idea is, why don't you take all these federal agencies and just sprinkle them across the country? Because you're going to lose 20% of the employees because they won't leave DC or that metro area. They'll try to get jobs as like in lobbyist firms and lawyers and all these other kinds of places. But the idea is take the Department of Agriculture, put it in Nebraska. Take the FBI, put that in Alaska. Take the Department of Education, put that in Rhode Island because they love education up there, right? Take the Department of, I don't know, name your department and put it in Arizona or New Mexico or any of these other places. Just spread it out across the union so that way they're not all centralized in DC. You lose about 20% of that workforce because they wouldn't leave. And the fact is, a lot of these government jobs are redundant right? Put the FBI in Alaska, right? Might as well. Put the CIA in the water. Just put it in the water. I don't even care. Put in Atlantis. But this idea that we need to have redundant government jobs, because every single agency, whether it's DEA, ATF, which should both be shut down, or the National Park Service, the ground administrative floor, they all have repeat jobs. They all have 400 of the same people. Especially now with AI, especially now with advanced programs, you don't need the human capital that they had before. And yet they still employ them. They still keep them around. And that's a waste of money. And I like to see Trump, and of course, the big line is until you get rid of Medicare or Medicaid, all this other spending isn't going to do anything because, that spending, the Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, that's going to bankrupt everything. That's going to bankrupt the system before anything else, no matter how much money you save. But the fact of the matter is, it's better that we find out the waste that our government is partaking in. And Trump talked about more today.
$50 million being sent to Gaza to buy condoms for Hamas.
That's pretty much like the headline of Doge. We saved you $50 million in spending on condoms, and then pretty much everything else.
50 million. And you know what's happened to them? They've used them as a method of making bombs. How about that? We stopped an attempt to make an illicit payment for illegal alien resettlement. We canceled $181 million in DEI training contracts. This is just for the training of people in DEI, which has been terminated and completely terminated. And we paused $1.7 billion in unauthorized payments to foreign organizations, including stopping more than $40 million that was on its way out the door to the very corrupt World Health Organization, which has not done its job and not done it properly. We also, blocked $45 million for diversity scholarships in Burma. 45, that's a lot of money for diversity scholarships in Burma.
In Burma.
You can imagine where that money went. These were the types of payments and many others. I could stand here all day and tell you things that we found, and we have to find them quickly because we want the money to flow to proper places.
And it's just, and some people will argue, hey, that keeps the dollar strong because if we give Burma $40 million for whatever diversity, then they'll spend it and then they're dependent on it and it keeps the dollar strong. I don't care. I don't care. Don't do it. Don't spend money that I don't have kids, but my friends' kids and my family, my siblings' kids are going to have to pay for and shoulder the burden of forever or for as long as they're alive as well. But the big thing was the signing of the Laken-Riley Act, which mandates the detention of migrants accused of theft and violent crimes, even before conviction, as stated by Trump. Trump described the Laken-Riley Act as a landmark law and a tremendous tribute to Laken-Riley, who was killed in February 2024, and really put a face, unfortunately, to the criminal alien problem in this union. Because every time you would try to say, what about criminal alien trespassers? They'd be like, but it's an abuela or it's a little child. You can't get rid of them. And then it's like this dude who had multiple convictions and I believe was deported before or was at least ordered to, brutally assaulted and killed this innocent young girl. This innocent young girl who had done nothing wrong, and she is now dead because of liberal policies that enabled the carrying of other people, of foreigners, to people born in the state of Georgia. And it's just absolutely ridiculous that happened. So Trump signed that today with the family of Laken-Riley present. And it's a tragic scene. As good as it is, that family will never be the same. That family will never be the same. That sister will never have, her sister is gone and she'll have to live with the ghost of her sister. Psychologically, she's going to have to carry that the rest of her life. Her parents are always going to have, the dead child held up in this status. And I get it, because your child being dead, you can't even imagine it. And then you have that loss that the parents have to deal with. So it's a small comfort for the family.
Mr. President, government funding. Can you take a quick question on government funding?
And of course, you have bloodthirsty, stupid reporters. I know you just signed this thing about Lake and Riley, but can you talk about government funding? And by the way, what an epic shot right there, Trump. Can you talk about government funding real quick?
I don't think this is appropriate time. Really. I respect that, but I don't think it's appropriate. I could just tell you government is doing very well, and we're cutting way back, but this is not the appropriate time. Thank you.
That's Laken Riley's mom right next to Trump. And it's good that something came out of it, but it's never good that human beings being reactionary, that we had to have something so tragic get to there. I remember that case. That young girl, she went out for a jog and she was just brutally murdered in a cornfield. And I reported on that story back when I was at the radio station. I remember that story, Mark. That poor young, she was like 21 years old too, and just completely abused and murdered. And just, why should the citizens of the state of Iowa or the state of Texas or the state of Georgia or the state of Delaware have any worry about that? You should be able to live in a society where, hey, man, you should be able to not have to worry. You should be able to go on a jog and not have to worry that you're going to get murdered, that you're going to not come home. Your parents should be able to do that and be not worried about you not coming home. I'm actually changing up the title because I have the wrong number. And it's pathetic that we are at this point. And of course, it's not just the United States. It's the rest of Western society that is dealing with this as well. And the fact that we are all, whether it's Italy or it's Spain or it's France or it's any of these other countries, having to deal with it. So it's absolutely, it's terrible. It's terrible to see. And it's awful that, and she was going to get married soon. Oh, it's even worse. It's even worse, man. I mean, of course it's terrible, but she's going to, hopefully start a family and all that stuff, man. We shouldn't have to live like this. And the left always says it when there's a gun crime. We don't have to live like this. We don't have to live like this either, man. We don't. And it's pathetic that the left fights so hard. So hard. When AOC complained about her abuela living in squalor in Puerto Rico because of the hurricane, then that Wall Street at 100,000 and she didn't want it. Yeah. Yep. Ooh, Mark, you're gonna have to tell me about that off air sometime. That I would like to hear about that, the story. I'm always interested in that kind of. I mean, it's a terrible thing, but like cryptid tales and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of like Mr. Ballin, his channel, and Wartime Stories, and this new channel called Redacted. I love all that stuff. I find that stuff very interesting. I find it very interesting. Anyway, you guys don't want to hear me talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about that in October. All right, folks. Next story up here on Rickcast. I am the aforementioned Rick. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. Help me grow the channel. You guys on YouTube are doing a great job keeping that comment section busy. Continue. You guys on X, you're doing great. Hit that follow button if you want to help the channel grow. My Rumblers, I see you guys there. I see you there on Rumble. I'm pointing at you right now at a different screen. You guys, hit the like button. Let me know that you like what I'm doing. Leave a comment. I'm seeing them. I see these comments too over here. So it is. Yeah, man. Being a Catholic, I believe in the supernatural, and the stories of cryptids and all these other kinds of things. They're just fascinating. I find them fascinating. especially like Appalachia and all that kind of stuff. So right, they talk about the stuff up in Appalachia and the Appalachia Trail and all that. It's just, I find it just absolute, just stimulating. Speaking of stimulating, you know what wasn't stimulating today, ladies and gentlemen, was the RFK confirmation hearing, because RFK had a lifelong Democrat and one of the most celebrated Democrats, because he was a Kennedy for most of his life, faced the ire of the Democratic Party for daring to turn his back on them. So from Global News, what RFK said about vaccines and abortion at U.S. Health Secretary hearing. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you bastards, I can't take it, was pressed to clarify his views on vaccines, abortion, and public health priorities in the first of two Senate hearings as he tries to make his case to become the president's health secretary. Kennedy is seeking to lead the Department of Health and Human Service, the $1.7 trillion agency that funds medical research, public health outreach, food and drug safety, hospital oversight, and funding for community health care clinics such as Medicare and Medicaid. I hate air quotes, but you got to put all that stuff in air quotes at this point. Let's see. Republicans on the Senate Finance Committee expressed hope Kennedy could reduce chronic diseases and healthcare costs. Democrats repeatedly use quotes and transcripts from books and public appearances to try and pin him down on several issues. First, senators want to know, where does Kennedy stand on vaccines now? Well, he can tell you.
Or any industry. I am neither. I am pro-safety.
And of course, every time he tried to speak, you had some lunatic on the left wearing a mask screaming about something or other. So and they showed this lady after she was wearing a mask and doing all this other kind of nonsense and just.
I am pro-safety. I worked for years to raise awareness about the mercury and toxic chemicals in fish, and nobody called me anti-fish. And I believe that that vaccines play a critical role in healthcare. All of my kids are vaccinated. I've written many books on vaccines. My first book in 2014, the first line of it is, I am not anti-vaccine, and the last line is, I am not anti-vaccine. Nor am I the enemy of food producers. American farms are the bedrock of our culture, of our politics, of our national security. I was a 4-H kid, and I spent my summer working on ranches. I went to work with our farmers. I want to work with our farmers and food producers to remove burdensome regulations and unleash American ingenuity.
And it's funny that Democrats always want to take the high ground and talk about like clean air and clean water and, you know, making sure we have healthy food. They always talk about that stuff. Now, RFK is like, yeah, I think that's a great idea. And they're like, oh, no, you can't do it, because they don't want it done. Because if people are healthier, guess what? Healthy people don't have to rely on the government. Megyn Kelly was at it today. Yeah, I don't know why Megyn Kelly was at the thing, but she was. So yeah, weird. Never underestimate a woman and make it about herself. So yeah, you had that first one. That was his stance on vaccines. I'm not anti-vaccine. Kennedy told the committee that I support measles vaccine, support the polio vaccine. I will do nothing at HHS as the secretary to make it difficult or discourage people from taking either of those. But of course, because he opposed the COVID shot, everybody was like, what about that? They asked him about his quote unquote shifting views on abortion. Well, let's hear him.
Tragedy. I agree with.
I got to get these things set up.
I agree with President Trump that every abortion is a tragedy. I agree with him that we cannot be a moral nation if we have 1.2 million abortions a year. I agree with him that the states should control abortion. President Trump has told me that he wants to end late-term abortions, and he wants to protect conscious exemptions, and that he wants to end federal funding for abortions here or abroad. That's Title X. I serve at the pleasure of the president. I'm going to implement his policy.
Interesting, because I made the point a couple of weeks ago that Kennedy would have been in previous forms, the most pro-abortion health and human secretary, health and human service secretary that they had ever put in, but he's changed his views. And he said, quote, "I've never seen any major politician flip on that issue quite as quickly as you." Of course, Bernie Sanders tried to pin him down on that, but Bernie Sanders is an idiot, and you'll see why in a little bit. Kennedy repeatedly leaned on the phrase, "I've always believed abortion is a tragedy." It is important to note that Kennedy is a Catholic, technically, because the Kennedys are Catholics. And maybe that has something to do with it. But I agree with both of them that it should be decided at the state level anyway. So I'm fine with him doing. And if he can get rid of Plan B being mailed out, do something about that as well, at least the federal funding for it, that would be a win as well in my book. Republicans expressed hope Kennedy could fix a troubled healthcare system. What does he think about that?
Are now on Adderall or some other ADHD medication. Even higher percentages are on SSRIs and benzos. We are not just over-medicating our children, we're over-medicating our entire population. Half the pharmaceutical drugs on Earth are now sold here. 70% of the profits from pharmaceutical companies are from the United States, even though we only have 4.2% of the world's population. Not only that, but a recent study by Cochrane Collaboration founder Peter Ghosh found that pharmaceutical drugs are the third largest cause of death in our country after heart attacks and cancers. Oh, they're not making us healthier. We need community health initiatives. We need access to treatment. We need exercise. We need better food.
And I don't think those are things that anybody can argue against. Can you argue against promoting better eating, promoting better exercise, even if people just walk 30 minutes a day? Imagine if everybody, and I know there's a lot of people, it's tough because you have office jobs, you work 8 to 5, then you got to drive 45 minutes home, then you got to put food on the table. And by the time that happens, it's 7 o'clock. And in the dead of winter, it's dark outside. So you can't. I said it last night. My wife and I, we bought one of those like cheap Chinese treadmills, but it doesn't have all the setup. It's just the tread. And as soon as this show's over, I'm going to go walk on that for an hour. It's ways you can do it. If everybody can walk 30 minutes a day, that would be huge for our nation's health. And a healthy population is less taxing on the government. And this is pretty much, if you had a wheelhouse for somebody, if you had a wheelhouse for something, it's, RFK Jr. doing this. This is pretty much what he was bred for, essentially, what his life's work, his accomplishment here. So it is interesting to see this go on. And then finally, let's see, what else did we have? All right, here we go. I apologize. Astound internet is trash. I'm gonna have to delete all that for the next. Yeah, Kennedy's in great shape for 70 years old, man. Right? Just look at the fact the guy's 70. He can incline press like 130 pounds, which is amazing. Guys are like, oh, that's nothing for a 70-year-old. Most of the population incline press of 130 pounds is impressive. But yeah, I think we all wish we were in good shape as RFK. But luckily, you guys are back. I'm sorry, my internet is trash. Of course, the Democrats had to make a show of this. In particular, one Elizabeth Warren, who makes a pretty penny off of pharmaceuticals. So she, of course, had to make it all about her.
That also sounds great. So here's an easy question. Will you commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member?
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Can I commit
You're
to
not going
what?
to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
See, this is why I would never, if they ever nominated me for one of these things, which I know we're always kind of joking, I would be like, Pocahontas, how much money do you take from them? If you divest from all of them right now, I promise I never will. And I'd never get confirmed because I would be such a smart ass the whole time. It'd be ridiculous.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh,
I-
yeah, I'm
you're the
happy
one-
to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with. And I think you're right on this.
I don't think
question.
any of them want to give me money, by the way.
Right. Let's keep
That's
going.
the second time
You're
she gets
right.
clowned by the people. She's trying to be, this super intelligent person trying to get it. And Pete Hegseth clowned on her. Now RFK's clowning on her. It's just like, do you think the drug companies are going to line up to give me RFK money? What are you talking? What do you smoke? What peace pipe are you smoking, Pocahontas? That's nuts.
Because to say yes, because every American has the right to know that every decision.
And then she does lose it at some point. She does absolutely just go off the rails. I don't have that clip, but I do have the one clip everybody's been talking about, and that is the one and only Bernie Sanders of Vermont, who took another opportunity to show you that he is nothing more than an old man screaming at a cloud.
Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unfaxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No Problem. Now, you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
That was just a few
Leadership.
months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive?
What a dumb communist. Like, what a dumb communist this guy is.
Of this?
I've had nothing to do with
Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will
vaccines.
not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Like this is your smoking gun? The onesies? Do you support the onesies? You know how many stupid onesies there are out there? But it's a onesie. It is something a child will throw up on and poop on. It is not like we're writing the Magna Carta here. But just, you got to be sitting here. And I did read tweets, and I was supposed to have them up here. I know guys like Scott Pressler and others put it out there. Democrats who were watching this, who are RFK people, right? Your centrist Democrats. I call them normies because they don't pay attention to politics. A lot of Rhode Islanders are normie Democrats. They don't pay attention to politics. They just think they have to vote Democrat because everybody else in the state does. Your normie Democrats who are watching this going, these people are nuts. What do you, onesies? We're going to keep a guy who wants to make everybody healthy out of this role because of a child's clothing line? Bernie, how many mansions do you have? I know he's got at least 2. And you're going to whine about somebody else selling onesies? It's just, it's an absolute mockery of the entire system. And it just shows
They
kind of like,
regulate.
get out of here. What I was talking about with the Pete Hegseth confirmation, that this is just for show. These people should be just confirmed, because what, even if McConnell, Murkowski, and Collins don't, you can still break the tie and have all of this go on. Yeah, you need an age limit for these people. You need term limits for these people, and all these big pharma shills. Warren makes a ton of money. Elizabeth Warren makes a ton of money from big pharma. From big pharma. There's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that make a lot of money off of big pharma. So, of course, Kennedy, I mean, it was all right. He still has to go through one on Thursday, so we'll take a look and see how that one goes. So, the votes have already been counted. They're just doing this for ratings and airtime. So we'll see how the Thursday confirmation hearing goes. All right, folks, this is Rickcast. I am the aforementioned Rick. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button, do all the fun things to help this channel grow. I got some good people on the Rumbles right now. We're having a good time talking in their chat. I hope everybody's having good. One of our listeners in the Rumble chat is telling me about his some stories from the Appalachia Trail in Southern Ohio, which is like, I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So it's crazy. Yeah, Thursday's supposed to be another, because he goes through 2 confirmation hearings. And then they'll do the vote. And it like you pointed out, it'll most likely be a recess appointment if it does. And so yeah. Hey man, I don't enjoy it. I enjoy making fun of it with you guys. So I appreciate you hanging out with me here on Rickcast. So that's it for the politics stuff. Like I said, I try to make the show 4 quadrants. I want to talk about other stuff besides politics, right? Politics, business, sports, electronics, movies. There's so much stuff out there besides just politics. And I know the political space is big news and it's a big money driver for a lot of people, but there's other stuff out there like this. Adam Silver, the worst commissioner in sports, explains why he's a fan of shortening NBA games.
As we get more involved, and I'm probably in a minority, as we get more involved in global basketball, the NBA is the only league that plays 48 minutes. And I am a fan of 4 10-minute quarters.
What?
I'm not sure that many others are. I mean, putting aside what it means for records and things like that, I think that a 2-hour format for a game is more consistent with sort of modern television habits. I don't think people in arenas aren't asking us to shorten the game, but I think as a television program, being 2 hours, that's Olympic basketball is 2 hours. College basketball, of course, is
Yeah, but
is
if
40
you
minutes.
like it, I'd say it has kind of a little bit of a push there.
Yeah, it's such a dramatic change to the game. I mean, I think something like that would have to be talked more about.
The fact of the matter is, there's a lot of things you could do. The NBA has been absolutely destroyed by player empowerment through LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard. LeBron James chasing rings by going to different teams. Kawhi Leonard and other guys decided to do load management when guys like Michael Jordan, when he was healthy, played 82 games at 40. And used to have guys, John Stockton and others, who used to take pride in playing every single game. Now some of these guys got mad when they were trying to mandate you play 60 games, and they're getting even more ridiculous contracts. The NBA used to have such a great thing, especially this time of year, would be like January, February. There's not a lot on TV. You could put on an NBA game on TNT on Thursday night, and you'd watch like Grant Hill and the Pistons playing Allen Iverson and the Sixers, and that was a quality game. And you could watch it and be like, man, this is a lot of fun, or any of this other kind of stuff. And then I'm not blaming Steph Curry. It's just him, his evolution of the 3-point shot. Now everybody wants to take 3-point shots. You got 7'5" guys sitting on the wing trying to take 3-pointers. It's absolutely ridiculous. You want to fix the NBA? My easiest, don't shorten the games, eliminate the actual 3-point line, put 2 spots. Like put 2 spots in the corner where you could take a 3 from. You can't take a 3 from anywhere else. You got to get rid of the 3-point shot. You have to. People, what about the scoring? The scoring is terrible right now. Teams just sit there and they jack up 35 to 53s a game. It's either a 3-point shot or a layup. All right. Michael Jordan used to do his best work on the block, taking fadeaway jump shots. And it was a beautiful thing to see, watching Patrick Ewing battle in the low post with Akeem Olajuwon, and watching Akeem do the dream shake on guys, or watching Patrick Ewing with the most ridiculous jump shot you've ever seen, but it worked. This stuff was awesome. And it was team ball. And of course, now you have, if a guy sneezes on another guy, it's a foul. And if you come across half court, and you can't check, you can't hand check, you can't play defense. So everybody's just kind of running around and there's no skill. They've even admitted that there's no skill at the pro level. It's all athletics. So they may be more athletic, but they're less skilled than they used to be. And it's just absolutely you can shorten it to 10 minutes. You can 2 dead. It doesn't matter because it's still going to be crap ball. These guys don't know how to play. And I know they're like, Rick, you're a 5'6" fat idiot. What are you talking about? All I can tell you is they don't know how to play ball. All they know how to do is dribble, drive, and kick. Set up a pick and roll at the top of the key, pick and roll down. If there's a layup, he takes it. If not, you kick it out for a 3. That's all they do every single time. And it's absolutely just boring. And oh, look, it's 125 to 160. What a game. Whee! The NBA was more popular when it used to be less scoring. That's right. I'm sorry. It would be a pick and roll at the top. Guy drives, throws it out to a guy in the corner. He stands there, does 5 different crossovers as the shot clock is about to expire. Then he hoists up a shot, misses, and then we do it all over again. It used to be a time when you had guys like Dennis Rodman who couldn't shoot the ball for his life, being one of the best players in the league because he would defend and he would get rebounds. Or guys like Gary Payton, who didn't even care about playing offense that much. He just wanted to be the glove and he wanted to shut you down on defense. Or you had Sean Kemp, who could jump out of the friggin' building, catching lobs from everywhere. I mean, yeah, I may sound like an old man, get off my lawn type of stuff, but shortening the game to 2 10-minute halves is the dumbest idea, and it continues to be a series of dumb ideas from a weak beta man in this guy, Adam Silver, who's so concerned about making sure that the players don't think that he's a racist. Unlike David, remember David Stern, whatever he used to think about him, he mandated wear a suit. That's what you have to do. And they'd be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Wear a suit. I don't care. Oh, you guys had a fight in the palace in Detroit. You guys are suspended for an entire year. There used to be some kind of law, but Adam Silver is so afraid of making LeBron James and his little cohort of idiots mad that he lets him do whatever. Oh, you guys want to load manage? Fine, we won't do back-to-backs. Oh, I know you guys get so tired. These are 25, 26-year-old guys in the prime of their life talking about, oh, my knees hurt. Oh, I can't play back-to-backs. You guys are on chartered planes flying from place to place. And you're acting like it is the worst thing in the world that we're paying you 10, 15, $20 million a year for a jump shot. Yeah, traveling. These guys palm the ball like it's a margarita every single time they're coming up the court. I haven't watched the NBA, obviously, since 2020. Once they went BLM, all that kind of stuff, I was done. I was like, nope, I'm out. So sorry, I can't do it. I couldn't do it. Once they did the bubble and then they canceled the game in Milwaukee because of what happened there and all this other stuff, done. I haven't watched any. I mean, if I'm at a bar or something, I'll watch a sport because it's on like the TV, but I will not personally take the time outside of college football to watch any kind of sport. And these people are ruining it because of identity politics. They're ruining it because they're so afraid of upsetting their players. Guess what? Your players are talented, but they are not business people. They don't know how to run the league. They don't know how to do it. That's you. Crouch, you nailed it on the head too. That's why he might be shortening up to 2, because that he's talking about TV, international market. International. The only reason that the NBA hasn't collapsed in on itself is because of the Chinese market. They're huge in China. Huge. So it's just pathetic to watch these guys cower. You're supposed to be the commissioner. Oh, well, maybe we should do 10-minute. Shut up, you loser. You're an absolute, you're pathetic. You are 100% pathetic because you don't have a spine to be able to tell the players, shut up and play. Or guess what? I'm going to cancel your contract. You can't cancel my contract. It's a breach of contract if you don't play 60 games. Sorry. Oh, well, yeah, you sat out. You sat out because your knee hurt. You're 24 years old. What are you talking about? Your knee hurting. Anyway, let's end the show on a little bit of a fun note, right? Because I like food. From studyfinds.org, America's favorite pizza by state. Which pies will prevail? So, let's see. The long and short of it, 1 in 7 Americans demonstrates a remarkable consistency in their pizza order, maintaining exactly the same selection over 5 years, despite 57% expressing interest in trying something new. Regional preferences vary significantly, with New Mexico and Hawaii leading in spice adoption, 58% each, while Michigan and South Carolina show the lowest tendency to add heat to their pizza. Now, Michigan, I get, but South Carolina, you guys did elect Nancy Mason and Lindsey Graham, so that doesn't shock me. Family pizza night traditions differ by state, with Louisiana families gathering the most frequently at 3.5, while New York, despite its pizza reputation, averages only 2.8 family pizza nights per month, which is pathetic because the actual pizza in New York is actually pretty legit. So let's take a look here, folks. Americans are pizza zombies. Yeah, that is legitimately it. So out of all of this, and I'm going to have to lean in here, folks, so I'm sorry, because I don't have a zoom in function. So here we go. The red is states that prefer pepperoni pizza. That's 20 states, including my home state of Rhode Island, which is kind of just weird. Then you have 18 states that prefer meat lovers pizza. That's your light pink over here. Looks like Louisiana, Arizona, Nevada, the Pacific Northwest. You guys are weird with your meat lovers pizza. Every time I think about that, I think about Tommy Boy. We still got that meat lovers pizza in the trunk. Wisconsin, you guys are meat lovers pizzas as well. Let's see. 8 states like the Supreme Pizza, which is that orange color. That looks like Atlanta, Illinois, Indiana. You guys, that's actually surprising because you guys in Indiana usually don't do anything. 2 states do the Supreme and pepperoni. That's lame. 2 in 1 state does a Supreme and meat lovers pizza. Which state does? Massachusetts. Yeah. Okay. Massachusetts prefers veggie pizza. What a bunch of losers. There's no pineapple pizza, luckily. Luckily, there is no pineapple pizza, at least as far as popularity. The most popular add-ons are Parmesan cheese, garlic butter, ranch, and red pepper flakes. Who does ranch dressing on their pizza? That's gross. Garlic butter, I get. Garlic butter is most likely Papa John's, isn't it? It's Papa John's, but they used to give you the garlic butter thing. When you're in college and Papa John's is the cheapest one, and they give you the garlic, that stuff lasts for days. Average Americans haven't changed their pizza order in over 2 years. Have found that spice makes pizza taste better. I disagree with that. I don't think that at all. Unfortunately, here in Texas, we don't have a lot of options when it comes to pizza. Like when I go back to Rhode Island, oh my goodness, the pizza is so good. It is so good up there. I love it. I love it. Frank and John's in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. So good. Scarborough, just so good. The pizza's up there. But the idea, it's not Papa John's. It is Papa John's. Isn't Papa John's the one that has the garlic butter thing? I think that is. But that's the pizza orders that are out there. My personal thing, my wife makes fun of me. I like a good old cheese pizza, man. I like a good old cheese pizza. Now, if I'm feeling spicy, my order is it's a pizza with chicken and bacon. A bacon chicken pizza. That's for me. Really, Mark? Anchovies? I'm gonna let that slide. So chicken and bacon on my pizza is my spicy. MD, your wife, it is Papa John's. All right, my Rumble guys are letting me know it is the Papa John's. Hey man, I survived in college off of Papa John's. I got a special place in my heart for Papa John's, man. Absolute. What is this? Anchovies? What? What are you people doing? My audience, I don't even know you. I don't even know you people. What is going on here? Oh, golly. There's also in a northeastern thing is Papa Gino's. Papa Gino's. If you know the Northeast, then you know Papa Gino's is a great local chain up there. That's a good pizza place as well. And of course, if you ever been to a mall, Sparrow Pizza is always something. I love a good pizza, man. But down here, margarita, cheese during Lent, and then chicken and pepperoni if I'm feeling spicy. But yes, folks, there you go. There's the study finds Americans are apparently pizza zombies because we get the same. I've never had Hunt Brothers, man. People tell me that. I've never had a Hunt Brothers pizza. Never. And I don't think I'm going to be worried about it either because it doesn't look appetizing. It doesn't. I'm sorry. It's just gas station. I don't do gas station pizza either. I'm kind of a pizza snob being from the Northeast. I don't do that. So it's kind of crazy how that goes. But Marco's, I've had Marco's before back when I was in Fort Worth. I've had Marco's before. Marco's is actually pretty good. What's the pizza? Texans will know. There's a pizza buffet place. What's the pizza buffet place in DFW or like in the cities? Hold on too. Let me see. There's a place in El Paso. Hold on a second. I'm going to ask my wife. I'm going to put myself. I didn't want you to actually. CC's. Thank you, Mr. Grumpy. CC's. When I first moved here, CC's was like awesome. And then you go there 4 or 5 times and you're like, yeah, this place is not very good. Like this place is not very good at all. But there's a couple places that are okay. But CC's, I'd never had CC's before, but it is what it is in that regard. I'm getting some love for Hunt Brothers Pizza. Y'all ever heard of Peter Piper Pizza? Peter Piper Pizza. There's one out in El Paso where my wife is from. They've got some pretty decent ones out there too. So I like Peter Piper pizzas, which I can't say, but a lot of love for the Hunt Brothers Pizza coming down the stretch here. I thought I was gonna get a pass on that one with the Hunt Brothers, but you guys are killing me on that. All right, good. We have some support for Peter Piper's, so I think we can all agree on that. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Are you a pizza zombie? Maybe. I know I am. Proud to admit that I'm a pizza zombie because there's nothing better in the world than a well-made, a little crispy on the edges cheese pizza. That's for Rick of Rickcast. That's a perfection. All right, folks. See, I like having fun at the last segment. That way we can kind of end on a high note, and you can all go think about pizza for the rest of the night. I appreciate you all hanging out with me here on Rickcast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, hit all the fun buttons to help this show grow. You guys on Rumble, you guys have been awesome tonight being in the chat with me. You guys hit the like button as well. My people on X, hit that follow button. There's 120 you guys watching right now. Hit that follow button so we can be hanging out tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern as well. And let's see, one more time for the people who just got here. Make sure if you're in the mid-Atlantic area, come hang out with me next week when I am the Masters of Ceremonies for the 15th Annual Catholic Men's Conference of the Carolinas, February 8th. Join me and the Bishop of Charleston, John Frankman, Anthony and Rob of Avoiding Babylon, John Edwards, Catholic for Rednecks, myself, and Enoch, who will be performing and speaking February 8th, 2025. I believe that's next week. Yeah, it is pretty much next week. I will see you all there, and I hope you will be joining me there as well. Zoom gang. We'd have to agree on a pizza first. Man. After that. Also, my book, The Armed Catholic, The Case for Guns and Self-Defense, on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. You can grab that today. I'd be greatly appreciative of all of you. Thank you for hanging out with me here on Rickcast. I will see you all tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central. God bless and free Dexter Taylor. Oh, hello. I didn't end the stream, did I? I have to put that on loop. Now you're seeing all the behind the scenes stuff. God bless. Read Dexter Taylor.